Hey everybody, I hope the holidays have been treating you well, and this year so far has been pretty fun. We're almost near the end of it, which is pretty crazy. But because of that, I wanted to talk some updates, just talk about this year so far in terms of my output, what I've made, what I'm planning, future ideas, things I'm working on right now, all that kind of stuff. So first up, I quickly want to talk about the merchandise for charity bonanza we have going on, which is an extension of last year's. The merchandise for charity bonanza 2022 was extended throughout this year, and it's definitely probably going to end like early next year, like in January or February. When we have an exact date when it's going to end, we'll post it on the Scott the Waz YouTube channel's community tab. But yeah, if you didn't already know, we're still offering merchandise where all the profit goes to both Children's Miracle Network and Critical Care Comics. And there's a couple products that got a price drop recently. Clue Scott the Waz edition is down to $40. And there's also some variants you can buy where you can get trading cards bundled in with it, as well as like a signed version by me and the rest of the crew. Then there's the trading card packs, which got price drops as well. In fact, today we're going to start to offer some limited individual cards. So if you're finally trying to complete your set, you have a bit of an opportunity here. If you just need like one specific card or two specific cards or whatever, we will be offering some individual cards for sale starting today. So there are some new options there. We also brought back some older products like the Scott the Waz Archives book. Now it's a paperback with a few very small revisions. This is by and large the exact same book that released in 2021. If you missed out on it last time, you have another opportunity now. And we're also doing a second edition of The Return of the Mysterious Game of Crypticism, which is available for purchase right now. Some of these are like pre-orders. They will be shipping out in like a couple months or so. So just take a look at that on the product pages. But yeah, we brought back a lot of older products, so those are available right now if you missed out on them originally. But we're also introducing a lot of new products. For the past few months, I've kind of sporadically introduced a bunch of new designs by like some absolutely wonderful artists that are always a pleasure to work with. We have new posters, t-shirts, we introduced mugs for the first time. So there's a fair amount of just junk to pick up today. In addition to one brand new product that is really, really cool. This is the Scott the Waz Special Edition USB flash drive. This is a 128 gigabyte USB flash drive. It's modeled after the Pepto-Bismol sword from Borderline Forever. Comes in like a box that's designed to look like the desk from Scott the Waz. And also, the flash drive comes preloaded with a bunch of timed exclusive content. So eventually, this content will be made available on the Scott Stash YouTube channel or the Scott the Waz YouTube channel. But for an extended period of time, it'll be only available to people who pick up this flash drive. But of course, you can also just copy the content to your computer and then just use this as a full 128 gigabyte flash drive. So it's multi-purpose. But yeah, that's pretty much what's available right now on pixelempire.com/Scott the Waz. We do like to try and offer like brand new / returning products every single week, and we're trying to do that till the end of the year. So, stay tuned every Friday. Just see if there's anything that piques your interest. There's also a new giveaway going on right now where you can enter to potentially win one of any of the modern consoles. PS5, PS5 digital, Xbox Series X, Series S, Switch OLED, Switch Lite, or one of 30 Clue Scott the Waz editions are in the raffle as well. So lots of stuff going on. So yeah, that's what's going on with the merchandise right now. That's all live at this moment. So for the time remaining of this update video, I just kind of want to talk about where I've been at with creating content lately. I know 2023 has been a bit of a different year for what I've done. Not a lot of Scott the Waz episodes have been put out. Way too much Scott Stash content has been put out. There's also a third channel now, Scott Snippets. So I just kind of want to talk about why that's the case, and also why not a lot of Scott the Waz episodes episodes have come out, what I'm planning to do to rectify that. So I'll start with Scott Stash just because that's where we're at. So I started Scott Stash as literally just a dumping ground for all my older projects that I've done that were just kind of like, old high school video project kind of stuff, or stuff I did back when I was 13. Stuff that, I want to be available because, like, hey, this is kind of a part of me. This is how I evolved as a video creator. But I'm not putting that on my main channel. But that's what Scott Stash was meant to be, and that's what it was for years to come. It's just a dumping grounds for all this trash. That's why the logo is the logo. But over time, I started using it more to post like behind the scenes content, and eventually just kind of like more casual stuff, like where I would browse the Wii Shop channel, or I pointed the camera at the carpet and talked about just like a couple video game things, or just things from my past in like 2020 and 2021. And eventually Scott Stash became like a really fun kind of hobby project, something that I would do kind of to blow off steam, I guess. That's not really the best way to put it. More so just kind of like, it was cool to upload to a channel where I didn't feel that pressure to like, one up myself, or there was like this bar of quality that I had to reach, even though there is for Scott Stash, but it's definitely a lot more casual. It's meant to be, unscripted content or behind the scenes content. So in many ways, me doing more stuff on Scott Stash kind of gave me that same kind of fun feeling I had when I was doing Scott the Woz for the first time, kind of building up something new and building up kind of a new style of thing I was doing. And it was really fun, and it still is really, really fun. I love doing this kind of stuff on Scott Stash. I love doing Scott the Woz above anything else, but it is nice to be able to just have like a different thing I can focus on here and there, to just have like a bit of fun and not have to worry about being scripted and having things like abide by like how like this show works and how these episodes work and all of that. It is nice to be able to just kind of kick back and just have some fun in some videos, even though I do that in Scott the Woz. But Scott Stash is like all about that, which I really like. But of course, this year Scott Stash has put out like so much stuff in comparison to Scott the Woz, where barely done like 10 episodes this year so far. So what's the deal with that? Because like back in like 2017, 2018, 2019, I did like 50 episodes in one year, which is crazy to think about. But that number has gone down ever since, I believe, season 4, 2020, that was 45. Ooh, what a change. But then season 5, I believe, was like 35. And season 6 was 20. And now we've gone to like lowest it's ever been. And I just kind of want to talk about, why that is. I started Scott the Woz back in, 2017, when I had like basically unlimited time to be able to do this stuff. Fast forward to now, like 6 years later, and it's been tricky to be able to juggle everything I want to do and everything I have to do with putting out these episodes, which are just taking longer and longer to put out. And I'd say like the reason for that would be, I mean, I've done this 250 plus times. I don't want to half-ass this. I just don't really see the point in putting out episodes to put out episodes. I kind of want to put out one when I'm like, yeah, this is good and I'm really, really happy about this one. They don't have to be perfect, but I want to put out an episode and just feel really, really proud of what I've done, rather than just being proud of the fact that I was able to do that within a week. And I'm really, really happy with the quality of episodes I put out this year. Like I look at each and every one of them and I think like, yeah, this was really good. I'm really, really proud of that. And, the only thing I really want to do now is just up the quantity again. I don't want to just put out 10 episodes a year or something. But this year's just kind of caught me at a weird time. Looking back, like at the end of 2021, I was incredibly burnt out. That I didn't know what to do at that point, because I knew I couldn't keep doing the episodes like I was doing them. Trying to put them out every single week and they were getting larger, they were getting bigger, they were getting more elaborate, and I was just absolutely exhausted, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to turn this into something that I resented or didn't want to do anymore. I still had like all the love to do this kind of stuff. Like this is what I've always wanted to do ever since I watched YouTube videos like this back in 2008, 2009. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to do this kind of thing for a living. This is a dream. And I'm very, very thankful to like everybody who's made this a dream, so thank you very much. Like I really, really, really appreciate all the support and everybody watching throughout the years. Like, thank you. But doing these episodes every single week may have been possible in like my early 20s. Now I'm 26, and I feel like I need to change things, and I felt I needed to change things at the end of 2021, and I really, really struggle with that throughout 2022. I feel like my brain was very much wired to doing this weekly, so adapting to not having a deadline and not forcing myself to a schedule, it was really, really hard for me to figure out, like what am I doing? How do I do this? Yeah, it was just a really weird thing to adapt to. And it was kind of hard to like explain it or figure out like what was going on. But yeah, it was really, really strange, and I appreciate people like sticking around throughout, the past 2 years while I try to figure it out. Because obviously like the answer is like you need to find a balance. Like yeah, you don't have to force yourself to put out these episodes every single week, but you should stick to a schedule and deadlines, probably more lenient deadlines where it's like, hey, you have 2 weeks to do this episode. But regardless, throughout 2022, I just found it difficult for me to adapt. And, it's something that I'm still struggling with. My brain was really wired to doing this weekly. And, now that it's like, hey, don't do this weekly, it's been really hard to try and find that flow again. But even if I found that flow, I do kind of fear that I would still spend like as much time as I was working on these episodes, which is definitely kind of like a weird thing. I feel like, hey, like I spend an unhealthy amount of time sitting at the computer working on this stuff, where like I need to have like more personal time and just time spent around my loved ones and my friends and family and all of that. But the tricky thing is, it's like if I would spend time not doing work, like the back of my head is telling me like, you're doing something wrong, you should be at work. But then when I'm at work and I'm making these videos, something in the back of my head is saying, you're doing something wrong, you're spending too much time at work. So it just, I always feel like very like unfulfilled, and kind of feel like, listen, like something needs to change here. Because as I get older, like I do know that like, hey, things need to change alongside that, because you're not going to be able to do everything the exact way you've always done it since you were like 19, because that's how old I was when I started the show. And now I'm 26, and I know I'm still very young, but next year I'm going to be 27, and then 28, and then 29, and if I'm still sitting at that damn computer for 18 hours a day, I don't think that's very acceptable. Over the years, I've kind of made it clear that I took a lot of pride in being able to say like, hey, this is all done by me. I edit, I write, I direct, I produce, blah blah blah. All these videos are pretty much all a me thing, but I kind of feel like that's a slippery slope, because I'd work with artists and animators, musicians, and I didn't do that part. I paid for it, and then there's like, okay, well, how much of this is truly your work, Scott? You use Nintendo music in the background of your videos. You use trailer footage for a lot of stuff, and of course you have to. If you're talking about a video game trailer, of course show the video game trailer, but like, hey, I capture pretty much all of the gameplay footage in all of the episodes, but it's also like, okay, well, like, you just played the game, but like pretty much everything on screen wasn't made by you. They were made by the game designer. So it's a slippery slope to call a video game video, oh, this is entirely my work. And of course, throughout the years, I'd get a lot of help from my girlfriend and friends, whether that be through, capturing gameplay footage or just helping out with filming something, or just for advice on like, hey, what should this character say here? Or just kind of taking a funny gag that like happened in our own personal lives. Like a lot of stuff like Eric would have said. And like I would ask him like, oh, can we put that in like an episode? And he'd be like, yeah, of course. As much as everything I put out for the first few years was like entirely done by me, in quotes, like I would still get help from people here and there. But it was still a very like lonely process of like, if I would get help from people, I would still be working on it entirely by myself at the computer at 2 a.m. And I don't really think I want to do that when I'm in my 30s. If I want to keep evolving things while maintaining like, the Scott the Woz feel and all of that, I need to evolve my workflow. That doesn't mean I don't want to do it. I love doing this. I love doing this more than almost anything, but it's very obvious to me that some things need to change. Not in terms of like the content itself, not in terms of like how it's viewed or like how it comes out, but more so how I make it. Because I want to put out more of it. And I want it to keep getting better and better. The episodes have just gotten longer and more elaborate. That doesn't mean I want every episode to be 2 hours long or like a giant skit or anything like that. Like in moderation, those are awesome, but like, I want to do like all kinds of episodes like I would do, throughout the years before. But these things are just taking longer to produce. Writing wise, like I'm taking longer to write them because I don't want to like repeat myself all the time. I want to make sure like what I'm saying is like something worthwhile or something unique or something fresh or anything like that. Filming takes longer because I want to put time into making sure the shots look nicer, and I want to be proud of what I put out. That's why editing takes longer. I want to be proud of what I put out. I don't want to just cobble together something. If I want to have a bit more personal time for myself, and I don't mean like, oh, I want to take all these breaks and everything. Like, no, I want to be able to stop working at like a normal time. I can start at a normal time and end at a normal time and then come back to it the next day instead of feeling like, oh, well, I gotta jump on the computer at 8 p.m. and then work till 3 a.m. But if I want that, I also want the quality to consistently improve. I want the quantity to consistently improve. And I also want to do the Scott Stash stuff. Something needs to change. And I think it's that I would need help. And like I've said, that's something I prided myself on not doing. But then, I kind of realized like I'm kind of lying to myself here. I get help. It's not like it's in super official capacities or anything. I'm always very picky about editing. I've never wanted to hire like editors or anything because like I just feel like it doesn't become my video at that point. It becomes like, oh, this isn't Scott's video. This is at PowerThump42s on Twitters. However, I did hire some new editors to help out so I can put out more stuff and it consistently improves. And I know that it's really lame and scary to have like new faces like meddling with all this stuff. But it had to happen. And Here are the people that I'm working with. Who the fuck are they? Yeah, I trained Sam and Justin and Dominic and Eric how to edit. So that way, it does very much feel like regular Scott the Woz and Scott Stash editing. And it's from people you might know. I've said in interviews before that like when it comes to my friends, I was like, oh, well, I don't want to work with my friends. I don't want to pay them because like, I just hear that ruins friendships. But I didn't really understand like what I was hearing there. And when I say like I don't want to pay my friends, that doesn't mean like, oh, I don't want to pay them for their hard work. It was always kind of like when we would like make videos together, we were kind of hanging out anyways. But I realized like, hey, like when people say don't go into business with your friends, I think they're mainly talking about like starting a new business where you all own it or something like that. When it comes to, hey, I'm going to train you how to edit, and then we can just all film videos and hang out more. And, we can also all support each other this way. And it's kind of a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how things are going. Of course, let me reiterate, they are getting paid. So that's good. My girlfriend Kate suggested a couple years ago, like, hey, if you want like help and if you want to work with your friends in a more official capacity, just train them how to edit, and then you have editors that will edit in your style, and I'm like, yeah. And thankfully, since we all know each other locally, I can just edit things like on their computer. Like we all have work days where we all get together and we all edit together. And once somebody's done with a video, I'll step in, I'll take a look at it, and I'll adjust things and I'll polish things up. And I really like how things are going. I think it's allowed my friends and I to get a lot closer, and to also give them like a job that they don't absolutely despise, which is very nice. We're able to film a lot more videos together, which is why you see a lot more of that stuff on Scott Stash. It allows me to put out more stuff on Scott Stash, and I'm still editing stuff for Scott Stash. I'm editing this one, and I mostly edited a lot of the stuff you might have seen earlier in 2023. But after that, like my entire focus goes into Scott the Woz, which is something that eventually, I kind of want to work towards, the guys being more and more hands-on with, not to the extent where it's like it's not my video anymore, but I think it would be very wise to get help from them when it comes to like a lot more of the grindy things, like just audio editing or just gameplay capture, which is what a lot of them already do. If I need footage from a game where like I don't need to be the one playing it, like Madden 24 footage, like why do I need to be the one playing that? But that's kind of the goal, to eventually have them be more hands-on with helping out with Scott the Woz. They still do, but it's still my baby, and I'm gonna be very overprotective of it, but I do kind of realize like, hey, that's a part of having a baby. Eventually they're going to grow up to the point where like you need to kind of trust other people sometimes to like, help them out and take care of it, And that doesn't mean anything is really going to change in terms of like how these episodes are viewed, rather just how they're produced. And I just kind of want to be open about that, because I've talked about in like interviews and in other places here and there how it's like, this is like entirely me, and yeah, I was the only one really working on these episodes. But it is getting to that point where like I realize like, hey, like I really want to open this up to be a bit more of a collaborative effort. Not in terms of like what my opinions on some games are, how the episodes are written, or anything like that. Like I think I'm always going to be the writer of these episodes. And I think I'm always going to be at least the head editor of these episodes, or I'm still going to edit them entirely myself. But when it comes down to it, like, these guys have become very, very talented editors. You can take a look throughout the year on Scott Stash. I've updated all the descriptions to say who's edited what. And you can clearly see like these guys can do some very, very intense edits, some very detail-oriented edits. They're doing an amazing job. But that's their main focus right now. It's just all Scott Stash. And I didn't announce that they were editing until later on, because I've always kind of feared that like if I say like, hey, this is edited by this guy now, people would be like, oh, this just isn't the same. But this has been the plan all along. Like I was never gonna keep this like a secret for this long, and like we were still all kind of training up around that time, just still kind of figuring things out on how things work. But now we have a very good flow. And I'm very, very happy with how things are going with Scott Stash, which is why you see a lot more content on Scott Stash, because there are like 5 people editing videos for it, but they're all people you know. And yeah, eventually I would love for them to do more stuff on Scott the Woz. I gave Sam a rough draft video to kind of like tinker around with, to just kind of learn how a Scott the Woz episode is edited. And I would love to put it out on Scott Stash eventually. It is the Wii U episode that I did, or part 1 at least. That was originally an episode that was planned to come out in like September 2018. And I believe the episode I did instead of that was like game controllers. I originally wanted to put out a Wii U episode there instead of the game controllers one, but at the last minute I was like, I'm not going to be able to get this Wii U episode done in time. And I didn't for 5 years or so, and it's still not done. But for the past like 5 years, I've had this incomplete script of a Wii U retrospective that I decided to re-record my lines for, and I gave that to Sam. So hopefully within the next year or so, you'll see kind of a fun little alternate universe episode of Scott the Woz from 2018. That was meant to be like a bit of a teaching tool for Sam on how to edit like a Scott the Woz episode. But that's for the future, because right now, I'm still the only editor of Scott the Woz. I'm still, the sole writer unless it's said otherwise. If it's like co-written by some of the guys. And whenever it's co-written by some of the guys, it's usually like we'll kind of sit down for like kind of like a skit portion and just kind of say like, okay, what should like Justin say here? What should Dominic say here? And, we all kind of collaborate on that. We did that for the Candy Games Halloween special. But what it mostly comes down to is I love doing this stuff more than almost anything. But to keep the quality and quantity up and to not lose my mind, I want to collaborate with my friends more. That doesn't mean every episode's going to include them or going to be like a skit or anything like that. But they've all been trained on Final Cut Pro. They've already edited so much on Scott Stash. And I think that just kind of shows how much they have an understanding of like how a lot of this stuff should flow and how it should be edited and everything. Which doesn't mean I'm not going to edit Scott the Woz episodes. Rather, I kind of want to work on other elements as they help with like editing certain things, like placing gameplay clips or editing the audio or whatever. And then I can go in and I can kind of change things and work on the more elaborate things and work on things that I really need to have a heavy hand in. Like this needs to be done by me. I just want a good workflow and to also not be as alone making this stuff. And I think it's been working out really, really great. It's been a ton of fun and an honor to work with these guys. And I hope that, them working with me more on this stuff kind of opens up the possibilities to do more things, do more different Scott the Woz episodes. I've wanted to do like another channel at some point. I don't know when that would happen, but like I have a bunch of ideas for it and I would love to be able to do that, but I don't want to stretch myself too thin. So we're not going to do that till I know we can do it. I'm planning a lot of stuff for 2024. I'd love to go back to conventions and I'd love to do a lot of new different things that, I'm in the like pre-production stages on. And the only way that I think I can do that stuff is if I just kind of allow for more teamwork on these episodes and, on Scott Stash, which is what we've already been doing. So in the end, Scott the Woz has been taking longer to do because I'm still doing it all myself. And, I want to do all these other things. I want to do a lot of stuff on Scott Stash and I want to plan a lot of stuff for the future. And I want to do different types of videos as well. But I love Scott the Woz so much. I love doing these types of videos so much. Like, don't get it twisted. But, I want to make sure that I have enough time to be a human being outside of, a YouTube character. Because I do kind of feel like the show is kind of like engulfed me multiple times where like, where that's pretty much all I am at that point. That's pretty much all I do is this stuff. And, I just want to be able to live life a little bit more, and also like potentially make room for when I go like full blown adult and I have like kids running around and all that garbage, because I don't want to be a neglectful parent sitting at a computer 18 hours a day. But I also love this stuff and I don't want to stop doing it. So this is kind of the natural step forward, and I'm personally very excited, and it's really great to be able to share this with my friends more than ever before. And it's great to see them more often, and it's great to just be able to make something together. It's really, really cool to be able to do that. And I want to thank all of you for being able to let us do that, because if it wasn't for you guys, then none of this would be possible, and I wouldn't even have to make an update video talking about how I'm kind of moving towards a more collaborative future. Darn you. But yeah, speaking of the future, there's a lot of stuff I'm planning, even just in the near future. The next episode that I'm kind of looking to put out is going to be a bit of a shorter one, kind of a quicker one, but then after that, I think Wii U Part 2, and hopefully I can get some more stuff out between that and like this year's Christmas special, which I'm really happy about. We have so much done on that so far, so it's like, yeah, very happy with that one. But I would love to try and get more stuff out by the year's end, but either way, like this year, like in terms of Scott the Woz seasons, in quotes, they were mostly always like confined to 1 year. 2017 was season 1, 2018 was season 2. I had to extend season 6 to like early January, because that's when I was able to put out the Christmas special that year. This season is going to be different, and it's going to extend into next year significantly, where like the next few months of next year will still be considered season 7 of Scott the Woz, because I'm not going to be taking an extended break this year. It's just going to be going, like, you're going to get like Scott the Woz episodes in January and February and March and April, and I don't know. I'm not planning that far ahead, but I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of episodes I really want to make. There is a bunch of like video game specific episodes that are like more so reviews. There's like a mini series I want to start. There's a couple mini series I want to start, and a mini series would be something along the lines of like WiiWare Chronicles and Dark Age of Nintendo. So there's some stuff I want to do like that. There's a couple other projects I'm looking to do. I mentioned like remastering older episodes, and I haven't made much progress on that, but I've done a bit of work on like the first episode of Scott the Woz ever, and just kind of like re-editing them, not extensively, but just kind of like making them look a little nicer. So that's kind of a pet project of mine that I'd like to, work on for, when I have some free time, but I just haven't had free time to work on that, this past year. But, it's something I would like to do. I'd like to do like a Scott the Woz, the complete first season, like compilation on the main channel or something, and all the episodes are remastered and redone to some extent, not super refilmed or something. I don't know. I still got to figure out how a lot of that's going to work, but that's something I'm looking to do. And there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in 2024, both video wise and also just like not video wise. I'm looking forward to a lot of it, and I really appreciate you guys sticking with me here. I know it's been kind of a weirder year, but it's been a lot of me kind of trying to figure out how we're moving forward with a lot of this stuff, and figuring out like how, how does making these episodes look like in like my 30s, because it's not gonna be the same. I can't do it the same way forever, which is why I want season 7 to extend into next year. It's okay to do things a little differently than I usually do. It's okay to try new things, and that's what I want to do. That's why I've been more open about like the episodes I'm working on, because I just kind of want to try it out and see how people like that. See if people like getting little previews, because I used to be like, no previews, like you what the episode is when it gets uploaded. But I just want to try new things, and I just want to see what sticks. And I appreciate you guys sticking with me throughout all of this. I know it's been a bit of a weirder year, but hopefully the more extensive Scott Stash content is a fun way to kind of wait between major Scott the Woz episodes. And I think it's pretty good. I think they're good ways to kind of like fill the gaps, and it's stuff I love doing. I love doing that stuff. It's really really fun. But yeah, thank you all so much. I'm gonna be working on the last few Scott the Woz episodes for this year, but that doesn't mean you're gonna have to wait much longer after that. But yeah, I kind of want to just talk about where my head's at with all of this. But yeah, merchandise is available right now. All profit goes to charity. New Scott the Woz episodes are always in the works, but they should be completed soon. And there's a lot of really fun, bigger episodes, more elaborate ones, shorter episodes, longer episodes. There's all kinds of episodes coming out. There's a skit episode that's like not video game related at all that I've been wanting to do for a while, because there's one like line I wrote for it that I'm just like, that is so stupid, and I really want to do it. But yeah, in the meantime, when you're waiting for all that, Scott Stash is always putting out stuff. There's so much stuff on Scott Stash, and I love that the guys are editing stuff, because like, yeah, it's more casual, but like there's always like this really like high bar for quality on it that I'm always so happy with. I'm always so happy with how Scott Stash is like, it's as edited as it is, and it's as like quality as it is. I'm really really proud of it, and I'm really been proud of like what we've been able to do this year so far. And thank you for watching it all. I hope you guys have a great holiday season and a great end to the year. Hopefully I'll get out a lot of stuff by the end of the year, but you'll be seeing me into next year as soon as January. And Scott Stash should be putting out stuff all the time. Scott Snippets, which is kind of the syndication channel right now that I launched, that's like just clips and compilations and all that stuff. That's always putting out junk. So hopefully that's enough stuff. And I'd love to do another channel eventually, but I'll talk about that, or I'll launch that when it's ready. But there's a lot of stuff, man, and I appreciate you guys giving a damn about any of it. So thank you very much.